All right, deep dive fans, buckle up. Today we're going way back in time.
Back to a time when giants ruled the earth.
Giants that make T-Rex look like, well, a gecko.
We're talking creatures so colossal they boggle the mind.
And you guys requested this deep dive. You wanted to know more than just their size.
Exactly. We'll explore what their existence tells us about life's evolution on our planet.
Okay, so to set the stage, we're going way before the dinosaurs.
Think hundreds of millions of years ago.
Imagine a world recovering from five mass extinction events.
5 times. Life on Earth was almost completely wiped out.
Each event reshaping the planet, pushing evolution in wild new directions.
And from those ashes rose some of the most incredible creatures to ever exist.
5 mass extinctions, that's just mind-blowing. Makes you wonder, how did life bounce back?
It's a testament to life's resilience. And it's what makes studying these ancient giants so fascinating.
Absolutely. So where do we even begin?
Let's start chronologically, in a time when most life was still confined to the oceans.
Okay, take us there.
Picture this. The Ordovician period, over 470 million years ago.
470 million years. I can barely comprehend that.
The continents are clustered together. Vast, shallow seas dominate the planet.
And what's lurking in these ancient waters?
Life is teeming, but not the kind we're used to. Invertebrates, mostly.
I like what?
Think shellfish, corals, trilobites. But one creature stands out.
One out of all those creepy crawlies. All right, I'm intrigued.
The Cameroceras giganteum, a creature so massive it dwarfed everything else.
Cameroceras, that sounds pretty intimidating.
Imagine a giant elongated cone, up to 9 meters long.
9 meters. Is that like 3 school buses?
About the size of one, actually.
Okay, one school bus-sized sea monster is still terrifying enough for me. But wait, a cone shape? Was it some kind of supersized snail?
Not quite. While it had a shell, it was more closely related to squids and octopuses.
Oh, wow. So like a giant straight-shelled squid. That's a note for me. I'm staying on land.
It was a fearsome predator. Imagine those tentacles snatching prey from the ocean floor.
And what was on the menu for this mega squid?
Mainly other shellfish and trilobites. It ruled the deeper, darker parts of the ocean.
Okay, king of the deep. Got it. But even kings fall, right? What happened to our Cameroceras?
It met its end during the first mass extinction, the Ordovician Silurian event.
Ah, right, that whole mass extinction thing. What exactly happened?
Massive environmental shifts, possibly an asteroid impact, or even a distant supernova.
An asteroid, a supernova, it sounds apocalyptic.
It was a global catastrophe. Ocean temperatures and chemistry changed drastically.
And Cameroceras couldn't adapt.
Many species perished during this event, paving the way for new life forms to emerge.
Okay, so that's one mass extinction down, 4 more to go. What kind of world emerged from those apocalyptic events?
We move on to the Silurian period, roughly 420 million years ago.
420 million years. I'm trying to wrap my head around these timescales. What was different?
Life was still primarily in the oceans, but we start seeing the first tentative steps onto land.
Okay, so life is evolving, adapting, but what about the giants?
And in this new world, a new giant arose.
All right, lay it on me. Who is the big bad of the Silurian period?
Enter the Bronteoscorpio.
Bronteoscorpio. Okay, that sounds...
Scorpion-y.
You got it. It was the largest known scorpion to ever exist.
A giant scorpion. I knew things were going to get creepy.
We only have a leg fragment, but estimates suggest a length of...
Okay, drum roll, please.
up to 3 meters.
3 meters. That's like my car.
Imagine a scorpion the size of a small car scuttling through the Silurian swamps.
Okay, I officially have the chills. Was it just a supersized version of modern scorpions, or...
There's a twist. Unlike its descendants, Bronteoscorpio was a water scorpion.
A water scorpion, so it was swimming around instead of hiding under rocks.
Exactly. Its massive size made living on land difficult. Water provided buoyancy and support.
So even giants have to adapt, huh? I guess gravity doesn't care how big you are.
The relationship between size and habitat is fascinating. Bronteoscorpio shows us how environment shapes evolution. It's mind-boggling. We've gone from a giant sea squid to a giant water scorpion. What other surprises does the prehistoric world hold?
Let's dive into the Devonian period, about 400 million years ago.
Okay, Devonian period. I'm picturing giant ferns and maybe some early fish.
Fish is right. This was the age of fishes, a time of incredible diversity in the oceans.
And I bet there was a giant lurking among those fish.
You bet. And it would give even the bravest scuba diver nightmares.
Okay, now you've really got my attention. Spill the beans. What kind of fishy terror are we talking about?
The Dunkleosteus terrelli.
Dunkleosteus. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Imagine a fish with a head encased in thick, bony armor, like a prehistoric knight.
Okay, armored fish. That's a new one. Did it have, like, spikes and everything?
No spikes, but something even more terrifying. Instead of teeth, it had sharp, bony plates.
Bony plates. Was it like chewing with scissors?
They acted like shears, slicing through prey with incredible force.
So this was a fish with armor-plated head and bone-crunching shears for a mouth. I'm officially scared.
And it was big, too. Up to 6 meters long, weighing over a ton.
Okay, so like a great white shark, but with bony armor.
Similar size, but with a bite force that would have put a shark to shame.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Just how strong was its bite?
Over 750 kilograms.
750 kilograms? That's insane. Could it bite through metal?
It could crush bone with ease. Imagine what it could do to a human skull.
Okay, that's a thought I'd rather not dwell on. So we've got a giant armored fish with a bone-crushing bite. Was it the king of the Devonian seas?
Absolutely. Dunkleosteus was an apex predator at the top of the food chain.
What was on the menu for this prehistoric terror?
Other armored fish, sharks, even ammonites, anything that crossed its path.
It sounds unstoppable. Were there any weaknesses in its bony armor?
Surprisingly, Dunkleosteus didn't have a spine. It relied on its armor and powerful muscles for support.
Wow, so it was basically a swimming tank with a bone-crushing bite. It's amazing how diverse life was back then. What other strange and wonderful creatures await us in the prehistoric past?
Let's fast forward to the late Cretaceous period, about 80 million years ago, the time of the dinosaurs.
Ah, the dinosaurs. But we're not focusing on them today, right?
Not exactly.
Yeah.
But we are going to meet a creature that even T-Rex might have steered clear of.
Okay, now you've got me really curious. What could be scarier than a T-Rex?
The Deinosuchus.
Deinosuchus, that sounds ominous.
It means terror crocodile. And it definitely lived up to its name.
A giant crocodile. Okay, I'm already picturing those teeth.
Imagine a crocodile up to 16 meters long.
16 meters. That's longer than my house.
It was massive, with a skull, jaws, and teeth built for crushing power.
What were those teeth like?
Thick as bananas. It could crush bone, turtle shells, anything that got in its way.
Okay, banana-thick teeth are officially added to my nightmare list. What was this terror crocodile eating?
It was an apex predator, preying on fish, turtles, other crocodiles.
Wait for it.
And even dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. So this thing was snatching dinosaurs from the water's edge.
It was a formidable hunter, capable of ambushing even the largest dinosaurs that came to drink.
Wow, that would be a sight to behold. It sounds like a real-life monster movie.
And here's the terrifying part. Deinosuchus had the strongest bite force ever recorded for a land animal.
Okay, I'm holding my breath. Spill the beans. How strong was its bite?
A jaw-dropping 8 tons.
8 tons. That's more than twice the bite force of a T-Rex.
It could crush a car as easily as you could crush a grape.
Okay, I'm officially terrified. We've got a terror crocodile with a bite force that could pulverize a tank. This deep dive is getting wild. What other colossal creatures await us in the prehistoric past?
Let's journey back to the late Cretaceous, but this time we're meeting a creature that was a gentle giant.
A gentle giant. After all those terrifying predators, I could use a break. Who are we meeting?
Archelon, the largest turtle ever recorded.
A giant turtle. Okay, I'm intrigued. How giant are we talking? Like Galapagos tortoise giant?
Think bigger. Picture a turtle 4 meters long with a 5-meter flipper span.
5-meter flipper span, that's wider than my car.
And it weighed over 2.2 tons.
So, a turtle the size of a small car, that's incredible. What did this gentle giant eat?
Despite its size, Archelon was actually a herbivore.
A herbivore, so it wasn't terrorizing the seas like Dunkleosteus.
It grazed on seagrass and algae, peacefully cruising the ancient oceans.
A peaceful giant turtle, that's a nice change of pace. It seems like every creature we've encountered so far has been a record breaker.
The prehistoric world was full of incredible adaptations. And speaking of incredible, are you ready to take to the skies?
To the skies. All right, I'm ready for takeoff. What kind of airborne giant are we about to meet?
Prepare yourself for Quetzalcoatlus northropi, the largest flying animal to ever grace the earth.
The largest flying animal ever. Okay, now you're really speaking my language.
Imagine a creature with a wingspan of up to 12 meters.
12 meters? That's wider than a school bus.
And when it stood on the ground, it was as tall as a giraffe.
A flying giraffe. Okay, my mind is officially blown. What did this incredible creature eat?
Quetzalcoatlus was a predator soaring through the skies of North America during the late Cretaceous.
So it was like a giant flying dinosaur hunter.
It likely fed on small dinosaurs, mammals, reptiles, and even carrion.
Wow. A flying giraffe scavenging for snacks? It seems like every creature we've encountered so far has had some kind of unique adaptation.
That's the beauty of evolution.
Hmm.
Each species finds its niche, its way to survive.
It's incredible to think about the diversity of life that existed millions of years ago. What's next on our journey through prehistoric giants?
Let's fast forward to the Paleocene epoch about 60 million years ago. The dinosaurs are gone, and mammals are starting to diversify.
Okay, so we're entering the age of mammals, but I'm guessing there were still some giants lurking around.
Oh, absolutely. And in this new world, a truly colossal serpent slithered its way into the fossil record.
A giant snake! Okay, I'm both fascinated and terrified.
Titanoboa, the largest snake ever discovered.
Titanoboa. That name already sounds intimidating. Just how big was this thing?
In 2009, scientists uncovered 28 fossilized skeletons of this giant serpent in a Colombian coal mine.
28 giant snake skeletons. That's like something out of a horror movie.
The largest fossil was a staggering 15 meters long and 1 meter in diameter.
15 meters long and a meter thick. That's longer than a school bus and thicker than a telephone pole. What did this monstrous serpent eat?
By this time, the dinosaurs were gone, but there was still plenty of large prey animals for Titanoboa to feast on.
What kind of prey could satisfy a snake that size?
It likely hunted crocodiles, turtles, and other large reptiles that shared its swampy habitat.
A snake that eats crocodiles. Okay, I'm suddenly very grateful that these things are extinct.
It's a reminder that the prehistoric world was a place of extremes, with creatures that defy our modern imagination.
It's mind-boggling. We've gone from a giant sea squid to a giant water scorpion to a fish with bone-crushing armor, a terror crocodile, a giant turtle, a flying giraffe, and now a snake that eats crocodiles. What other incredible creatures are lurking in the prehistoric past?
Let's move on to the Eocene epoch, roughly 48 million years ago.
Okay, Eocene epoch. I'm ready for another adventure. What awaits us in this new era?
This is where we encounter a creature that's a bit of an enigma, the Andrewsarchus.
An enigma. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's so mysterious about this Andrewsarchus?
Imagine a creature with the skull of a wolf, but the body, well, we're not entirely sure.
A wolf-headed mystery beast. Okay, now you've really got my attention.
Our knowledge of Andrewsarchus is based on very limited fossil evidence. Just a single skull discovered in Mongolia in the 1920s.
Just one skull. That's not much to go on. What can we learn from this lone skull?
Based on its size, Andrewsarchus could have been anywhere from 1 to 4 meters long.
So, potentially huge. And with a wolf-like skull, what was it eating?
It had large, sharp teeth, suggesting it was a carnivore or at least a scavenger.
Okay, a giant wolf-headed scavenger. What's the mystery then?
The mystery is its body. Since we only have the skull, there's much debate about what the rest of Andrewsarchus looked like.
So it could have been a wolf-like predator or maybe a more bear-like scavenger?
Some even suggest it might have resembled a hippopotamus.
A wolf-bear-hippo hybrid. That's a wild combination. I guess until we find more fossils, we'll just have to let our imaginations run wild.
Exactly. Andrewsarchus is a reminder that the fossil record is full of surprises, and we're constantly learning new things about the history of life on Earth.
Okay, well, until we solve the mystery of the Andrewsarchus, I'm going to picture it as a giant, wolf-headed, hippo-bodied creature roaming the Eocene landscape. So, what's next on our journey through time?
Let's travel to the Oligocene epoch, around 30 million years ago.
All right, Oligocene epoch. I'm ready for another encounter with a prehistoric giant. What awaits us in this new era?
This is where we encounter a creature that would give even the bravest farmer pause. The Daeodon, also known as the terrible pig.
The terrible pig. Okay, that doesn't sound very cuddly. What kind of pig are we talking about?
The Daeodon was the largest pig to ever walk the earth. It roamed across North America, and while it resembled modern pigs in some ways, it had some distinctive features that set it apart.
So imagine a giant pig with a bad attitude. I'm guessing this wasn't your average farm animal.
You guessed right. Daeodon had large, bony protrusions on its cheeks, a massive skull, and sharp, tusk-like teeth.
Bony cheek protrusions. Okay, this is starting to sound less like a pig and more like some kind of prehistoric warthog. What did this terrible pig eat?
Daeodon was an omnivore, meaning it ate both plants and animals.
So it was rooting around for truffles and chasing down prey.
It likely scavenged carrion, but its powerful jaws and teeth suggest it could also hunt and kill prey.
A giant, omnivorous pig with a bad temper. I'm starting to see why they called it terrible.
It was a formidable creature, adapted for both scavenging and hunting.
Okay, I'm adding Daeodon to my list of prehistoric creatures I'm glad are extinct. What's next on our list of incredible creatures?
Let's stay in the Oligocene epoch for just a bit longer. This is where we meet another record breaker, Pelagornis sandersi, the largest bird ever recorded.
The largest bird ever. Okay, I'm ready to be amazed. How big are we talking?
Hold on to your binoculars. Pelagornis sandersi had a wingspan of up to 7.4 meters.
7.4 meters. That's wider than a small airplane.
It soared over the oceans, using its long, slender beak to snatch fish and squid from the water surface.
A giant fish-eating seabird with a wingspan wider than my living room. That's an image I won't soon forget.
It was a magnificent creature, perfectly adapted for a life of soaring over the open ocean.
It's amazing to think about the diversity of life that existed millions of years ago. Okay, what's next on our prehistoric adventure?
Let's dive into the Miocene epoch, about 23 million years ago.
Okay, Miocene epoch. I'm ready for another deep dive into the prehistoric past. What awaits us in this new era?
This is where we encounter a creature that needs no introduction. Arctodus and Megalodon, the legendary giant shark.
The Megalodon. Okay, this is a deep dive I've been waiting for. Just how giant are we talking here?
Imagine a great white shark, but supersized. Megalodon could reach lengths of up to 20 meters.
20 meters! That's longer than a bowling lane. What did this monster of the deep eat?
Megalodon was an apex predator, feasting on whales, large fish, and even other sharks.
So it was basically the king of the Miocene oceans.
Absolutely. It was a creature that inspired both awe and terror.
I can imagine. What made Megalodon such a successful predator?
Size certainly played a role, but it also had incredibly powerful jaws lined with over 270 serrated teeth, each one over 20 centimeters long.
Over 270 teeth, each bigger than my hand. Okay, I wouldn't want to get anywhere near that mouth.
And those teeth were designed for crushing bone. Scientists estimate that Megalodon had a bite force of a staggering 18 tons.
18 tons! That's more powerful than a hydraulic press. No wonder this shark was the apex predator of its time.
It was a true force of nature, a testament to the power and majesty of prehistoric life.
It's incredible to think that such a creature once roamed the oceans. So when did this giant shark disappear from the oceans?
The fossil record suggests that Megalodon went extinct about 3.6 million years ago.
3.6 million years ago? That seems both recent and ancient at the same time.
It's a reminder that the Earth is constantly changing, and even the most dominant creatures can succumb to environmental pressures.
It makes you wonder what other giants might have existed that we haven't yet discovered. What other prehistoric creatures are waiting to be unearthed?
That's the beauty of paleontology. There's always something new to discover, always another mystery to unravel.
Okay, well, I'm definitely hooked. I can't wait to see what other incredible creatures we uncover on this deep dive. But for now, I think we've had enough giant sharks for one day.
Agreed. Let's take a break, and we'll continue our journey through the prehistoric world in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, deep dive fans, stay tuned. We'll be back soon with more colossal creatures and mind-boggling discoveries from the distant past.
Let's travel to the late Miocene, around 18 million years ago.
Okay, late Miocene. What kind of giants roamed the Earth back then?
This is where we meet a creature that would have given even Megalodon a run for its money.
Even Megalodon. Okay, now you're talking. What was this formidable beast?
The Arctodus imus, also known as the short-faced bear.
Short-faced bear. That sounds kind of cute, actually.
Don't let the name fool you. This was the largest bear ever known.
Larger than a grizzly? Larger than a polar bear?
Much larger. Imagine a modern brown bear, but with a shorter face, longer legs, and a much more massive build.
Okay, so we're not talking teddy bear size here. Just how big was this short-faced bear?
When standing on all fours, it was about the height of a human.
Okay, that's already pretty big. But I thought you said it was larger than modern bears.
That's just on all fours, when it reared up on its hind legs.
Oh boy, here it comes.
It towered over 3.7 meters tall.
3.7 meters? That's taller than a basketball hoop. I wouldn't want to meet that in a dark alley. Or any alley, for that matter.
And it weighed over a ton.
A ton? That's heavier than a car. Was this bear just a big lumbering giant, or was it quick on its feet?
Don't underestimate its agility. Scientists estimate that the short-faced bear could run at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour.
50 kilometers per hour. It could outrun my car, so we've got a giant, fast-running bear. What was on the menu for this prehistoric speedster?
While it probably ate some plants, Arctodus was primarily a carnivore.
So it wasn't just munching on berries. What kind of meat were we talking about?
It likely hunted large mammals, such as bison, horses,
Okay, that makes sense. Large mammals, lots of meat.
and even mammoth.
Mammoths! This bear was taking down mammoths. That's incredible. It's amazing to think about the power and ferocity of these prehistoric creatures.
It's a reminder that nature is full of surprises, And even the most familiar creatures can have ancient relatives that defy our expectations.
So from giant sharks to giant bears, what other incredible creatures await us on our journey through the prehistoric past?
Let's move on to another icon of the Ice Age, the Smilodon, commonly known as the saber-toothed cat.
Ah, the saber-toothed cat. Those incredible fangs are instantly recognizable. What can you tell me about this prehistoric feline?
Smilodon lived in North and South America during the Pleistocene epoch, from about 2.5 million to 10,000 years ago.
So, relatively recently, in geologic terms, was it similar in size to modern big cats?
It was about the size of a modern lion or tiger, but with a stockier build, shorter legs, and of course those remarkable saber teeth.
Okay, let's talk about those saber teeth. They're what makes the saber-toothed cat so iconic. Just how long were they?
They could grow up to 28 centimeters long.
28 centimeters. That's longer than my forearm. What were those teeth like? Just giant, pointy daggers.
They were incredibly sharp, serrated along the edges like steak knives.
Okay, serrated steak knives for teeth. I'm starting to understand why they called it a saber-toothed cat. But how did Smilodon use those teeth? Was it just stabbing its prey?
While the exact hunting techniques of Smilodon are still debated, scientists believe it used its saber teeth for a very specific purpose:
Okay, I'm all ears.
to deliver a killing blow to its prey's throat or neck, severing major arteries and causing rapid blood loss.
A precision strike to the jugular? That's both efficient and terrifying. What kind of prey were these saber-toothed cats targeting with those incredible teeth?
Smilodon was a specialized hunter, targeting large mammals.
Like what? Woolly mammoths. Giant sloths.
You got it. Bison, horses, camels, giant sloths, all were on the menu for Smilodon. It used its powerful forelimbs and retractable claws to grapple with its prey, while its saber teeth delivered the fatal blow.
So it was like a prehistoric wrestling match with the saber teeth as the ultimate weapon. Were saber-toothed cats the only predators hunting these giant herbivores?
They had some competition. In fact, one of their main rivals was a creature we've already discussed.
Wait a minute, don't tell me it was the short-faced bear, wasn't it?
You got it. Fossil evidence suggests that Smilodon and short-faced bears often clashed.
Saber-toothed cats versus giant bears. That's a prehistoric battle I'd pay to see. Where did these epic encounters take place?
A lot of the fossil evidence comes from the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles, California.
The La Brea tar pits. That place is like a time capsule of prehistoric life.
Exactly. For tens of thousands of years, animals became trapped in the sticky asphalt seeps, their bones preserved for millennia.
It's a paleontologist's dream come true. What kind of creatures have been found in the La Brea tar pits?
It's a veritable who's who of Ice Age giants: mammoths, mastodons, dire wolves, and of course, countless Smilodon and short-faced bears.
So it's not just saber-toothed cats and bears. There's a whole menagerie of prehistoric creatures preserved in these tar pits.
It's a snapshot of a lost world, a glimpse into the incredible diversity of life that existed during the Pleistocene epoch. And by studying the fossils from La Brea, we can learn a lot about the predator-prey relationships and ecological dynamics of these ancient ecosystems.
So the tar pits are more than just a graveyard. They're a window into the past, a way to understand how these animals lived and interacted with each other. But back to the saber-toothed cats. Why were there so many Smilodon fossils found in the tar pits? Was it just bad luck?
Scientists believe that Smilodon, being a specialized predator, may have been particularly vulnerable to environmental changes and fluctuations in prey availability.
So as the Ice Age ended and the climate changed, these large mammals they depended on started to disappear.
Exactly. As prey became scarce, Smilodon may have been forced to take greater risks to find food, leading them into the treacherous tar pits.
So the tar pits might have acted as a kind of ecological trap, luring these powerful predators to their doom.
It's a tragic irony, but it's also what makes the La Brea tar pit such a valuable resource for understanding the complexities of prehistoric ecosystems. By studying these fossils, we can learn about the challenges faced by even the most formidable predators and how they adapted to a changing world.
It's incredible to think that we can learn so much about the past from these tar pits. It's like piecing together a giant puzzle, with each fossil providing a clue to the bigger picture.
That's the allure of paleontology, isn't it? We're constantly seeking answers, constantly trying to understand the past, to unravel the mysteries of these ancient worlds.
Okay, so we've explored the depths of the ocean, encountered terrifying predators, and delved into the mysteries of the La Brea tar pits. What other adventures await us on our deep dive into the prehistoric past?
Let's fly across the world to New Zealand, where we encounter a bird of prey that would make even the Quetzalcoatlus look small. The Haast's eagle.
The Haast's eagle. Okay, now we're talking. I'm ready for another avian giant. Just how big was this eagle?
Haast's eagle was the largest eagle ever known, weighing up to 15 kilograms and boasting a wingspan of up to 3 meters.
15 kilograms. That's heavier than my bowling ball. And with a 3-meter wingspan, it must have been a truly imposing sight. What did this giant eagle hunt? Was it swooping down and snatching up sheep?
Hold on to your hats because this is where things get really interesting. Haast's eagle preyed on moa, which were giant flightless birds that could grow up to 3.6 meters tall and weigh over 230 kilograms.
An eagle hunting birds that were taller than humans and heavier than gorillas? That's incredible. How did Haast's eagle manage to take down such massive prey?
It was a powerful predator, with talons the size of tiger claws and a beak that could crush bone. It likely swooped down from the forest canopy, using its talons to grab and pin down its prey before delivering a fatal blow with its beak.
A prehistoric dive bomb attack. That's both impressive and terrifying. It's amazing to think about the power and agility of this giant eagle. Did early humans ever encounter this formidable predator?
That's one of the most fascinating things about the Haast's eagle. It went extinct relatively recently, around 500 years ago.
500 years ago. That means it was still around when humans first arrived in New Zealand. Imagine the stories those early settlers must have told about encountering a giant eagle with talons the size of tiger claws.
You can bet they had some wild tales to tell. And those stories are reflected in Maori mythology, where Haast's eagle is known as the puakai, a fearsome bird of prey that could snatch up children and even adults.
Wow. It's amazing to think that these ancient myths and legends were inspired by real-life encounters with such incredible creatures. It's a reminder that the world we live in today is just a snapshot in time, and that there's a vast and fascinating history of life that stretches back millions of years. Okay, what other prehistoric giants are waiting to be discovered on our journey?
Let's travel back to Australia, where we encounter a creature that would make even the Komodo dragon look small. The Megalania.
The Megalania. Okay, I'm ready for another reptilian giant. What can you tell us about this creature?
The Megalania was the largest terrestrial lizard to ever exist. It roamed Australia until about 40,000 years ago, meaning it likely encountered the Aboriginal Australians who first settled the continent.
Wow. Imagine encountering a lizard that size. How big are we talking?
Unfortunately, our knowledge of Megalania is limited to mostly skull fragments and vertebrae, making it difficult to determine its exact size. However, based on the fossil evidence we do have, scientists estimate that Megalania could have been anywhere from 3.5 to 7 meters long and weighed up to 1,940 kilograms.
7 meters long? That's almost as long as a bus. Okay, I'm officially adding Megalania to my list of prehistoric nightmare.
It's definitely a creature that would have commanded respect, to say the least. Imagine a giant lizard, armed with sharp teeth and claws, roaming the Australian outback. It must have been a formidable predator, capable of taking down large prey.
I'm suddenly very grateful that I live in a time and place where giant lizards aren't a common occurrence. What did Megalania eat? Was it preying on giant kangaroos?
Megalania was an apex predator, and it likely had a diverse diet consisting of large mammals, birds, reptiles, and even carrion.
A giant lizard feasting on everything it could catch. It's incredible to think about the diversity of life that existed millions of years ago. Okay, what other creatures are waiting to be discovered on our prehistoric adventure?
Let's dive back into the ocean, to the late Cretaceous period, where we encounter a creature that might have been the inspiration for the legendary sea monster, the Kraken the Mosasaurus.
The Mosasaurus. Okay, I'm intrigued. What can you tell us about this creature?
The Mosasaurus was a giant marine reptile that lived during the late Cretaceous period, alongside dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops. But unlike dinosaurs, which were primarily land-dwelling creatures, Mosasaurus was perfectly adapted for life in the water.
So a giant seagoing lizard. How big was this creature?
Mosasaurus could grow up to 17 meters long, and its skull alone could reach lengths of over 1.5 meters. That's about the size of a small car.
Okay, I'm picturing this thing and it's already sending chills down my spine. What did Mosasaurus eat? Was it snacking on sharks?
Mosasaurus was an apex predator, and its diet reflected its position at the top of the food chain. It preyed on a variety of marine creatures, including fish, sharks, sea turtles, ammonites, and even other marine reptiles.
So basically anything it could catch. It sounds like a true terror of the ancient seas.
It was. It had powerful jaws lined with sharp conical teeth, and its streamlined body allowed it to move swiftly through the water, making it a formidable hunter.
A 17-meter-long streamlined killing machine with a mouthful of sharp teeth. Okay, I'm officially staying out of the water.
It's safe to say that the oceans of the late Cretaceous were not for the faint of heart. But let's move on to our final prehistoric giant for today. Are you ready to meet a creature that's shrouded in mystery?
Okay, I'm always up for a good mystery. Lay it on me.
Let's travel back in time to the Pleistocene epoch, about 1 million years ago. This is where we encounter a creature that's both fascinating and elusive, the Gigantopithecus.
Gigantopithecus. That name definitely sounds gigantic. What exactly was this creature?
The Gigantopithecus was the largest ape and largest hominid known to exist. Imagine an ape that stood about 3 meters tall and weighed an estimated 550 kilograms. That's taller than a basketball hoop and heavier than a grand piano.
Whoa, that's huge. Okay, now I'm really picturing something out of a King Kong movie. What did this giant ape eat? Was it swinging through the trees and munching on bananas?
Actually, based on its teeth and jaw structure, scientists believe that the Gigantopithecus was primarily a herbivore. It likely feasted on bamboo, fruits, and other plants that grew in the dense forests of Southeast Asia, where it lived.
So a giant vegetarian ape, that's pretty amazing. It's always interesting to learn about the diverse diets of prehistoric creatures. It challenges our assumptions about what it means to be big and powerful. But you mentioned that Gigantopithecus is shrouded in mystery. What makes this creature so elusive?
Well, for starters, we have very few fossils to go on. In fact, the first Gigantopithecus fossil was discovered in a rather unusual place, a Hong Kong pharmacy in 1935.
A pharmacy? What was a giant ape fossil doing in a pharmacy?
At the time, fossilized teeth and bones of various animals, often misidentified as dragon bones, were commonly sold in traditional Chinese medicine. This particular fossil, a lower molar, caught the eye of a German paleontologist, Ralph von Königswald, who recognized it as something far more significant.
So the first clue to the existence of this giant ape was a misidentified dragon bone in a pharmacy. That's an incredible story. What other fossils have been found since then?
Unfortunately, not many. Since that initial discovery, only a few more Gigantopithecus fossils have been found, mostly teeth and jaw fragments. This limited fossil evidence makes it difficult to reconstruct the ape's full appearance and understand its behavior.
Just a handful of teeth and jaw fragments. It's not much to go on. What can scientists infer about Gigantopithecus from these limited remains?
Despite the scarcity of fossils, scientists have been able to glean some intriguing insights. For example, the size and shape of the teeth suggests that Gigantopithecus had a massive, powerful jaw, adapted for chewing tough, fibrous plants.
So, a jaw built for crushing bamboo. I can imagine that would come in handy for a giant herbivore. But what about its locomotion? How did this massive ape move around?
There's debate among scientists about whether the Gigantopithecus was quadrupedal, walking on all fours, or bipedal, walking on two legs. Most researchers believe that its size and the anatomy of its limbs suggest it was primarily quadrupedal, like a gorilla. However, some argue that it might have been capable of limited bipedalism, perhaps standing upright to reach for food or to display dominance.
So giant ape, possibly walking upright, with a jaw like a supersized gorilla. It definitely captures the imagination. It's easy to see how such a creature could have inspired legends of giant ape-like creatures like the Yeti or Bigfoot.
Absolutely. While there's no scientific evidence to support the existence of those mythical creatures, it's fascinating to think about how our ancestors might have interpreted encounters with real-life giants, like Gigantopithecus.
It's a reminder that the line between science and mythology can sometimes be blurry, especially when it comes to creatures that are both massive and mysterious. Okay, what other prehistoric giants are waiting to be discovered on our journey?
Well, for our final stop on this prehistoric safari, let's head back to the skies.
Back to the skies! All right, I'm ready for another aerial adventure. What kind of airborne giant are we going to meet this time?
This one's a real showstopper. We're talking about the Haast's eagle.
Haast's eagle. Okay, that name rings a bell, but I can't quite place it. Refresh my memory. What was so special about this eagle?
Well, for starters, it was the largest eagle ever known.
The largest ever. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Just how big are we talking? Like bald eagle size or bigger?
Oh, much bigger.
Yeah.
Haast's eagle weighed up to 15 kilograms and had a wingspan of up to 3 meters.
15 kilograms. That's like carrying a toddler around on your arm. And with the 3-meter wingspan, that's wider than my car. What was this mega eagle hunting to fuel those massive wings?
This is where things get really interesting. Haast's eagle preyed on moa.
Moa. Okay, remind me, what were those again?
Giant flightless birds. They could grow up to 3.6 meters tall and weigh over 230 kilograms.
So basically, this eagle was hunting birds that were taller than humans and heavier than gorillas. It's just mind-blowing. How did Haast's eagle manage to take down prey that massive? It must have had some serious weaponry.
You bet. It had talons the size of tiger claws and a beak powerful enough to crush bone.
Wow. Talk about a prehistoric killing machine. I can only imagine the sight of this giant eagle swooping down from the sky and snatching up its prey. It must have been terrifying.
It certainly would have been a sight to behold. And what's even more amazing is that this eagle wasn't some ancient relic from the distant past.
Oh, how recent are we talking?
Haast's eagle went extinct relatively recently, around 500 years ago.
500 years ago. That means it was still around when humans first arrived in New Zealand? Can you imagine encountering a giant eagle with talons the size of tiger claws?
I bet those early settlers had some wild tales to tell. And their encounters with the Haast's eagle are actually reflected in Maori mythology.
Oh, wow. Really? Tell me more about that.
In Maori legends, the Haast's eagle is known as the puakai, a fearsome bird of prey that could snatch up children and even adults.
So, those legends were based on real-life encounters with this incredible eagle.
That's fascinating. It's amazing how these ancient myths and stories can give us glimpses into the past, connecting us to these long extinct creatures.
It really is. It reminds us that we're just a small part of a much larger story, a story that stretches back millions of years.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dives into the world of prehistoric giants. What an incredible journey it's been. From the depths of the ocean to the soaring heights of the sky, we've encountered some truly colossal creatures.
It's been a real privilege to explore these ancient worlds with you, and I hope it's sparked a sense of wonder and curiosity in our listeners.
I agree. Learning about these prehistoric giants has given me a whole new appreciation for the diversity and resilience of life on Earth. It's a reminder that we share this planet with an incredible array of creatures, both past and present. And as we continue to explore the fossil record, who knows what other incredible discoveries await us?
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with a final thought to ponder. If you could bring back one of these creatures, which one would you choose and why? Think about the impact it would have on our world, the challenges and opportunities it would present. It's a question that sparks the imagination and invites us to consider our place in the grand scheme of things.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that childlike sense of wonder alive.
And remember, the prehistoric world is full of surprises just waiting to be discovered.